Yeah, well, no, the team that's built now on the Yankees is actually built mainly on farm rosters, so that's not necessarily the case. But what he's saying is the old Yankee format of let's buy, let's spend now, let's win this now.
Yeah, and I agree that does detract from the game a bit, or more than a bit. I think it's pretty significant when you've got teams that are basically saying, we might as well be garbage until we're a super team and not compete. Look at what Philly's been doing with,
trust the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then going back to this quote unquote divine intervention, Chris Paul should have gone to the Lakers, but David Stern was like, "No, I don't think that'd be good for the." Well, they were at the time they were the Hornets, New Orleans Hornets.
Yeah, but
the Hornets would have been exponentially better.
Yeah,
with that trade,
we could see CP3 on.
What would they have gotten for?
They would have gotten so the trade, I believe, would have been Chris Paul and a pick for 2 picks, and I don't remember who was it. Pau Gasol.
Maybe.
It's been so long. I'm curious to see what those draft picks turned out to, because I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there was a lot more in those draft picks than just one player to the Lakers.
But David Stern was like, no, that's going to be bad for New Orleans. Really? Because they turned out great without it, right?
I mean, the same could be said about the draft lottery in general. What's saying that this draft lottery is what's not causing
that would stop
part of this overwhelming difference that we see in the NBA right now? I mean, there are teams that are stacked with a lot of talent that could be better later.
The Knicks have the best terrible roster in the NBA.
Okay, yeah, great. It looks good on paper. But, I mean, if you think about it, Philly's team is pretty decent given the young talent. If it can get healthy, they could have built a solid roster. Maybe. Same thing in Minnesota. They have a bunch of young kids on that team with Wiggins and everybody.
Milwaukee Bucks. They're doing it well.
The Bucks, the Timberwolves, I agree. Boston just went to the Eastern Conference Finals and now have the first pick.
That's because of the trade. That's because of the trade.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I personally think the NBA's jacked up the draft.
I feel like the only benefit to the lottery is so that teams don't automatically tank to get the first pick. And I feel like in basketball that could be really easy to do.
No, it's not. Ask the Knicks, as you said.
I don't think.
But Philly would have first.
Yeah, I feel like the Knicks also spited Phil Jackson and decided they were going to play on certain days. Certain days not.
He never gave the call to pull the starters. You had Melo putting in 40-minute games at the end of the season for meaningless games, and that cost one of those games took us from the 6th pick to the 8th pick.
Yep. How much you want to bet Phil Jackson's hoping he was going to injure himself?
No, it's trade
just
capital.
Pull something.
It's trade capital.
It's an idiotic move if you think that's going to generate trade capital for Melo. What does he have to prove? You're just wasting what minutes he has remaining because he's old now. He can still play. Everyone knows that.
I have a problem when, the league takes action and fines players for making comments about where they are or what their market value is on their team or what it may be. But nothing is said or nothing is done to Phil Jackson, who is actively trying to throw out his best player.
Yeah,
at least throw him under the bus. If it's going to be one way, it should be the other way too.
Yeah, he should be getting fined too.
I also hate how GMs, owners, and presidents can't talk about other teams' players. Like Mark Cuban got fined for saying that Carmelo Anthony's in a crappy situation. Well, duh. Yeah, we know that. He shouldn't get fined
for looking for any reason to fine Mark
Cuban.
Cuban.
I don't think that's just in the NBA, though, because they just don't want them to use the press as a back channel to say, oh, hey, I really love this player. Yeah.
But I feel like when something gets blown up to a point, especially in the New York media, when you have he's not even the owner. He is just the operation, or what is it? The president of basketball operations.
And the coach, let's be real.
Yeah, right.
Forcing the triangle.
All his past cronies. When you're actively doing that in the public eye and in the media constantly, I feel like almost anyone can answer that question now, because you've now posed it not just as a Knicks problem, but an NBA problem. And now you have an owner that's being asked a question and getting fined for something you did because you're making everyone look bad.
No, it is an NBA problem, and we discussed it on previous episodes. But What else? What can the NBA do?
All right. Let's not get into
This
that.
is going to
This is connected. What can the NBA do? They can't do anything about that situation.
Not right now, not the way it stands.
No, they would need to trade. They would need to change a ton of policies, and we're probably not going to see it in the next decade at least.
Right, and if there's nothing they can do about that situation, there's also nothing they can do about resting players. There's nothing they can do about a 3-peat or 4-peat.
This needs to be a topic of. This needs to be an entire podcast that we need to talk about.
Yeah, because we need to get to the matchup.
Rules corrections that need to be done. This is something we should do, not just in this sport, because we touched on it in baseball before. We've got clearly a bunch in basketball. I'm sure we can come up with a couple in football. But that's a good topic on things that need to change in pro sports.
We need more rodeo clowns.
In 15 or 20 years, the NBA is going to be starter team 1, and your bench is going to be starter team 2. Like, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 10-team all-star. 10-player all-star teams.
Right. And you see that with teams like a few years ago, the Clippers had that. Like, when Jamal Crawford is your 8th best player, that is ridiculous.
Coming off the bench,
The Spurs have
still
that.
didn't win, though.
Well, what's ridiculous is how bad they were with still that team.
Yeah, still didn't win, though.
Yeah, the Spurs had that. When Tony Parker, when Manu Ginobili and LaMarcus Aldridge are coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's almost getting into the point of, like, hockey lines.
Right.
It's like line 1, sub out, line 2, come back out, line 3.
Except only one team can do that with
Well, yeah,
superstars.
no, true. And, I mean, who knows? You may have 3 teams that can do that in 10
I
years.
do think that they need to do away with the draft lottery. I think that will,
But they can't just have it be worst team.
Yes, they can.
first
Every
pick.
other sport does it that way. Literally every other sport.
Yeah, but no
does it
other
that way.
sport has 5 to 10 players is your entire team.
Yeah, but
No,
there's going to
but-
be 5 to 10 teams that are going to, with the good teams that have great talent, there's going to be 5 or 10 teams that are going to try to be actively getting the first pick. There's going to be some really crappy teams out there.
I mean, the lottery was put in place because that was happening.
It
Teams
needs to
were
be
tanking.
twerked then.
It needs to be changed, but I don't think it needs to be.
Again, this
just
is another thing
removed.
that we can evaluate later.
The Colts, after week 2 of the NFL season, intentionally sucked so they could draft Andrew Luck. They even had a slogan, "Suck for luck."
Hey,
So
why 2 weeks into the season,
why don't we make it that? Why wouldn't they make it that? Or how's the idea of taking the 4 worst NBA teams in the league and only having them in the lottery and having it 25% on each one? They all have an equal shot at possibly getting the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th pick. And from 5 down, that's the draft order.
What's the big deal about a bad team? Because no good team, no team in their right mind who's like, we're a playoff contending team, is going to suck purposefully.
Yeah.
So the teams
Because then
that
you
are...
have all the mediocre teams all trying to suck. And you have everyone just throwing away games. That's why they put it in the first place.
I don't think so, because especially in the East...
It happened. It happened.
Yeah,
What do you
and
mean you don't
it's
think so?
happened in every other sport, too. Except for maybe baseball, because
It was
people
worse
are so
than it is
confused
now.
at how many games there are. But, no, so the draft lottery is terrible. It is terrible.
Agreed, but it wasn't better when they were just giving the first pick in order of
I don't think
worst
it even.
records.
But like I said, with the NBA,
I think
we've had a
it needs to
referee
go in a
that
different direction altogether. It
We've
doesn't
had-
need to go back.
we've had referees that have tanked games and for their own benefit. We've had what looked to be rigging of the lottery system, where it was 3 years in a row. Cleveland got the first pick in the draft the 3 years after LeBron James went to the Heat.
The
Like,
frozen envelope.
yeah, there's a lot of things.
That's how the Knicks got Ewing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so then what about this? You get 60 players.
Stern didn't do it this year, though. He must like someone else.
well, Stern's not the commissioner
Yeah,
anymore.
it's
It's
Adam Silver, yeah.
Silver, yeah.
You
sorry,
take
that's
you
right.
take the top 60 players, you have 2 envelopes each team, and have the players just grab an envelope.
And that's
Alright.
just where you
And then
end
that's
up.
where you go.
Oh, Jesus.
That would be fun.
That would be entertaining.
That would make it very interesting.
I do like where your head's at, because that would certainly make me more apt to watch the NBA draft.
Not even just the draft, the lottery itself. Like, I don't need to see all these guys sitting behind desks. You go bring in some guy for good luck. Joel Embiid, who barely has been on the court, is going to pick. The guy you're about to pick or pick for the card, that player's going to get more playing time than you are.
The player's going to replace you.
Yeah, he's going to have a longer career than you. And it's like, come on. Your son, what is it? Gilbert's son went up there. That's the reason why they won it for 3 straight years. Is because Gilbert's son went up there and got it. That's why.
Yeah. So let's get to the actual matchup here.
Way past time.
Yeah, whatever. We've had an hour and 47 minutes before. We're not going to get to that, hopefully. But the matchup, I don't know what more we can say that we haven't already said, because we've predicted this is what it's going to be.
We've already been talking through I think it's the last 2 playoff talks we've had, that this is what we were anticipating.
I thought the Spurs.
I think I missed those. I listened to them, but I think I was not here for both NBA playoff.
I think you might have not been here for the playoffs, but I mean, we knew.
I
feel like we knew this was coming
when this matchup
determined. I feel like we knew this was coming in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, so let's just go through. Chuckles, who's going to win, and why?
How many games?
I'm going to go with Golden State in 6.
I have Golden State in 6 as well.
Dan,
I want to hear your prediction, because I bet it's the same as theirs.
It's not. Honestly, I don't think Cleveland stands a chance
I
at
can
all.
tell you how I think Cleveland does stand a chance.
No defense says that they don't stand a chance. Give me the Golden State Warriors in 4.
Oh, sweep!
No way.
A sweep?
No way.
LeBron would not go for that.
If you guys don't think this is going to 7 games, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
No, I'm willing to give Cleveland 2 at home, and that's it.
The only way
they've been here before the last 2 times.
The Warriors have been here. Yeah, okay, and the Cavaliers are much, much worse. They don't play defense. The guy that they brought in for defense was on the court for literally 15 seconds before his leg snapped.
So, that was bad luck.
If Cleveland could focus their game in shutting down Kevin Durant and Draymond Green, they could win.
But they also need a bad shooting night in the same sense from Curry and Thompson.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's just too many weapons.
If you take down arguably your best offensive player and your best defensive player, everything else could become a wash. They could have a great shooting, but they'd be giving up stuff on defense.
It gives you hope.
Let me ask you a question.
That's the best chance they have. That's all I'm saying. They have the best chance that
2 years ago, the Warriors beat the Cavaliers in the finals. Mm-hmm. Who was the MVP of the finals?
Andre Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala. It wasn't Klay Thompson. It wasn't Steph Curry. It wasn't Draymond Green.
Defense and shut down LeBron. If that's going to be Cleveland's biggest question mark, because if Iguodala can play on James and take him out of this equation, they're screwed.
They just need to shut down Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, or LeBron.
Iguodala came off the bench that game.
Credit to Tristan Thompson, who's been
Tristan Thompson
pretty disgusting all year.
But Tristan Thompson's not going to make or break.
I would disagree. He's feared in the league now.
It's also the fact that they don't have a lot of height. If they're going with their starting lineup, Thompson's the best 5 on there.
Well, let me explain. Let me explain what I mean.
Possibly him versus Draymond.
If they win, it's not because of Tristan Thompson. If they lose, it's not because of Tristan Thompson. He's not going to win the game for them. He's not going to lose the game for them.
No, I think it's always
going to
come
be
down
on
to
LeBron or Kevin Love.
Well, the problem I have with what happened with Cleveland this season was any of the offseason moves that they made for some older veterans that have probably worked for them in the past. I don't feel like their free agency pickups this year had worked out in their favor. Korver is a great shooter, and he always will be, and he's decent. But he was more productive. He was more productive in Atlanta. And Williams, terrible pickup. People shouldn't have wasted it.
People are also forgetting Kevin Durant is an outstanding defender, and he's almost 7 feet tall.
Oh,
that being said, Kevin Durant has always struggled in the matchup with LeBron. That's why historically.
Well, now he can check off of LeBron because Draymond's there.
They've got Draymond. They've got Iguodala.
If they have the best shot,
Durant, that can all partially guard James. I don't think any of them can effectively shut him down. Not for a whole series. No. I don't even think for a whole game. Maybe half a game at a time.
Draymond could. Draymond has.
It's also
getting dirty and technicals along with it, and also putting his team at risk that way by not being on the court. Not being on the court.
Not put them at risk. Cost them the NBA Finals. It was Draymond's actions that caused
But
him
to be
not
fair,
to
this
be
is
there at
also
the end
a
last
different
year.
Kevin Love than last year too.
Don't-
Kevin Love was a non-factor last year, and this year
I'm
I think
not
he's
going
going
to
to
write
play.
Cleveland off. I just think that there's too much talent from